Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I remember that there used to be some psychotherapies, and one of them was called shock therapy, and I know that's not allowed anymore for moral issues, and it used to be that let's say you have a phobia, let's say, and you're afraid, let's say, of spiders, like a lot of people are. They try to cure that. I'm just going to give an example by placing you in a room with spiders, and by getting you exposed to that environment, they try to create a connection in the brain or get you used to a situation, seeing that nothing happens and all that. There are books written about this. I don't think that's, I'm pretty sure that's not acceptable nowadays in United States of America and in the civilized countries. You can go do a milligram experiment nowadays, obviously, or other ones that will, find certain things. So it seems like Putin is going to employ this shock therapy to the European Union, because it seems like he tried with logic, he tried to communicate with them, he threatened them, and nothing worked. So he said, okay then, let them expose themselves to the environment they created. In this case, no energy, let them freeze. That's what he says. So this article comes from Fortune, September 7, 2022, and I'm quoting Vladimir Putin. Let them come to their senses. Russia will freeze European countries that impose a stupid oil price cap. That's what Putin said. Let them come to their senses. Russia will freeze European countries that impose a stupid oil price cap. You're going to be exposed to freezing, and maybe it's not good. Let's change course. But the problem is the citizens will freeze, not the guys in control. They will not be freezing, I guarantee you that. They will have everything they had before and after and forever. They will still have the same thing, but they will ask everybody to buckle up, freeze a little bit, because we are all together in it. No, we're not together in it. Certainly not together. So last week, the world's seven most advanced economies agreed to impose a price cap on what they'd pay to Russian oil in a bid to hamper Russia's ability to finance its war in Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin responded by saying the price cap is a quote-unquote stupid idea, end quote. Russia will simply quote-unquote freeze European countries if Western nations impose a price cap on Russian oil. Putin said that in an economic forum in Vladivostok on Wednesday, arguing that it will simply drive up worldwide energy prices and deprive Europe of the energy it surely needs. Countries that import Russian energy are, quote, are in no position to dictate their will. Let them come to their senses, Putin said. It's like you want air, obviously, to breathe, and you have here, let's say, President Bill Clinton, who's the dispenser of air. Are you gonna tell Bill Clinton, hey, you know what, if you don't give me the air and pay me for breathing it, then I'm gonna be upset? And Bill Clinton is gonna say, yeah, go ahead, I disagree with you. Close. Who's gonna be hurt? You, not Clinton. The same here with the banks and the industries. The banks are telling the industries what to do, like they're in charge. And actually it's the other way around. If the businesses, they don't do business with banks, but the system is created that way, the banks are dying. The banks are dying. If people don't put money, so the banks depend on us, not we depend on banks. But it's vice versa. They somehow fooled us. The same with these leaders of ours. They are over there not to be our leaders or in control of us or our bosses. They are over there to represent what we want. They are our employees. Got that? When you're gonna reverse that in your brain, that they are over there to serve us, not to control us and tell us what to do, then we might, have a decent society. So, Russia will simply freeze European countries and Western nations. Yeah, let them come to their senses. Yeah, they're going to be freezing and they will have to do something. They being the population, not the leaders. And the population, only if they're scared by their voters, will change, if you know what I mean. Since Russia invaded Ukraine in February, global energy prices have soared owing to trade and production disruptions. Again, the same mantra. Since Russia invaded Ukraine in February, global energy prices have soared owing to trade and production disruptions. Because of you. It's not anything else. You impose sanctions. What disruptions? The grain? The grain is moving on. Everything is good with that. What else? What are the disruptions? Gas flows. You turn it off. What are you talking about? Yet the Kremlin has racked in $157 billion in the past 6 months from fossil fuel exports. Yeah, because you're tards. That's why. It hurts your people and your agenda, not Russia. Your agenda is, own nothing, and be happy. Remember that one. With EU nations importing 54% of this amount, according to the Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air. The West aims to reduce Russia's energy revenues through a price cap while hoping to avoid a supply crunch in an already tight market. And they will turn it off. Putin said, if you do that, we're going to turn it off. No gas for you, no oil for you. You're going to be dying. And we're still going to switch our sales to Asia. So we're still going to get money and you're not going to get anything. Unbelievable. Price cap and energy crunch. Europe is bracing for an energy crisis this winter as Russia threatens to cut off its natural gas supply to the continent and bloc nations try to win themselves of Russian energy. You have nothing to replace it with. You're going to have less. So your lifestyle is going to go down. Who's going to give you? From where? Somehow you're going to find new resources or something? If they were available, then you wouldn't have bought Russian oil and gas. Because it's not available. How are you going to fill that 40% of gas and oil and whatever, how much you get, the percentages? How? Who's going to give you more if they don't have more? They don't have a capacity of production. What are you talking about? Unbelievable. You're going to have we're going to have a worse life. You'll find out that. Europe is throwing its manufacturing capacity, quality of life and socioeconomic stability into the sanctions furnace in the name of preserving the dominance of the US in global affairs. Putin said that. True or not? And he said here, if there are any political decisions that contradict our contractual obligation, then we simply won't fulfill them. We won't supply anything at all if it contradicts our economic interest, Putin said. How does that sound? I believe this guy saying this because he does what he says he will do. I haven't heard him saying he's going to do something and he didn't do it. Every time Putin said, good or bad, he's going to do something, he did it. I believe this guy. I think other people believe him too, but they don't care because it's their agenda to do that. Russia doesn't have any problem selling its energy to the rest of the world, Putin added. Chinese and Russian state oil giants China National Petroleum and Gazprom recently inked several deals that will see China pay for Russian natural gas in rubles and yuan, dollar out, euro out. Where's this going? Who's getting hurt? Keep the sanctions. China's spending on Russian energy has surged in recent months. Since the war began, the world's second largest economy has paid the Kremlin $35 billion for gas and coal compared with $20 billion a year earlier. India has taken advantage of cheap Russian oil that the West has shunned. Moscow is now the South Asia's nation's second largest oil supplier after Iraq. Sanctions frenzy. Putin slammed the West sanctions frenzy as the main threat to the global economy now that the COVID-19 pandemic has receded. They are, and I'm quoting, brazen, aggressive attempts to impose models of behavior on other countries to extinguish their sovereignty and bend them to its will, he said. With their short-sighted actions, Western officials have triggered a global inflation, he added. Meanwhile, the rising prices will be a real tragedy for most of the poorest countries, which are facing shortages of food, energy, and other vital goods, Putin added. I don't understand. Maybe that's what they want. Russia's war in Ukraine has exacerbated food and fuel prices issues, rises in emerging countries leading to a worsening humanitarian crisis in Asia, Africa, and Middle East. And these guys are still talking about Russia. Russia's war. No, it was the sanctions. It was not. Without the sanctions, everything would have been okay. I'm not saying, oh, you should leave Russia alone and let it do whatever it wants to do. I'm not saying that. But you had 8 years from 2014 to 2022, Minsk agreements. What about that? Everything seems to be pushed in this direction. It's On Wednesday, Putin said that Russia hasn't lost anything and won't lose anything. Our main gain is strengthening sovereignty. That's what they're going to do. Russian economy is not shrinking. On the contrary, it's 51 point something, so it's expanding. What's going on here? The rating of expansion or contraction. If it's above 50, it's expanding. If it's below 50, it's contracting. And it's 51.2 or something in the past month, in August was. It was the past 5 months or something, it was below, like 49 something, and now it's 51.2 or something like that. What is this country's? I want to hear. And if it is still expanding, to what percentage? 2 point something, or 52 point something, or is 50.1 or 0.1? Oh my God, it's just... and they make the rules. For those guys, the agenda is over there, and we are supposed to buckle up because we are all together. That's how the mantra goes. And these weasels with the articles are on their pocket. They're all together. That's them and that's us. You don't believe it? Well, how else would you figure things out? When United States tells Germany to stop Nord Stream 2 because they didn't want to, and then they do it. What, the German government was not able to figure it out before Olaf Scholz went to Washington? Only when he came back and he got a little bit more pounded in the butt, then he, All right, well, let them come to their senses. That's shock therapy that will wake up, not those guys, the population who right now still has those medals of virtue, hurting Putin. In the meantime, hurting themselves more, and their families, their children, and their great children, grandchildren, and so on. Why? Because there's going to be inflation. These guys, if they want to place a cap, who's going to pay the rest? Who's going to pay your bills that you can pay? 600% increase, 600% increase in energy prices in Germany, electricity prices. Who's going to pay for that? The government. The government has no money. It's going to borrow it from international banking systems, and that's going to be paid by you, your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and so on, because the decisions these weasels made for those. And who's going to make the money? Banking systems, energy firms, and military. Industrial complex. I'm done. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart. Look for the truth and be just.